Married folks, what was your wedding night actually like? Did you consummate the marriage or not? Our wedding was the worst day ever. My beloved grandmother, who had been struggling with her health, died on our wedding day. My parents were mid-divorce and my dad brought his mistress/new girlfriend to rub it in my mom's face. It rained and the wedding was supposed to be outside. Because of the rain, the bakery van delivered a slightly mushed groom's cake, and at the end, we finally just pass out from exhaustion and didn't have the energy to do it. We figured the next day would be better at home together, too broke for a honeymoon. However, we come home and our apartment had been robbed. I literally just sat on the floor with the door wide open and cried. Been married 9 years this year, so it still totally worked out. Edit. Thanks Reddit for all your supportive words, as it surely puts a smile on my face. My husband also once had noted that 4 gaming consoles and tons of games were stolen that day, which also made it very tragic. We left for French Lick Resort right after our wedding. It was a couple hours drive and we were happy. Never mind, we blew out the Unity candle on accident, which led to us erupting into laughter halfway through her cousin's clarinet solo. It was cold, January 8th. That Monday a lot of folks would be heading back to work, school, and life. Christmas New Year's holiday would be over. We did the deed. And laid around naked. I go to the restroom and afterwards try to flush. Nothing. Oh no. I'm going to have to call maintenance. We will have to get dressed, which will make it harder for round 2 in an hour. So I decide I'll fix it. So I pull the lid off the back of the toilet, when suddenly I am being sprayed in the face with a jet of water. In my mouth, in my eyes, in my nose. I feel like I am drowning standing up. The lid suddenly becomes a shield, and I feel like I am Link defending myself from the toilet Octorok. Knowing my limits, I slam the lid down, not knowing what just happened. My wife asked what was wrong. Knowing I cannot admit a toilet just tried to assassinate me, I tell her, nothing, in the most manly fashion, as water drips off my naked chest. I lift the lid and peek in, I can hear it hissing, waiting to strike. I flank it, remove the lid. Water sprays everywhere. I look to see my enemy. A loose hose. The pressure must have popped it from its tube. I reach in and place it where it goes. Victorious, I return to my wife with what appears to be a facial from Aquaman. I tell her my story. We have victory sex. Then she calls her mother to let her know everything is okay. Then I hear her tell her mom, everything is fine, though, insert my name, had a little trouble with the plumbing, which I can hear laughter from the phone. No, not like that, everything there was fine. Victory. TLDR. I got a facial from the toilet on my wedding night. So, we spent the night at a nice little B&B. Had a nice jacuzzi tub. I filled it up, set out a bunch of candles, and some champagne. We slip in the tub, start making out a bit, then something falls in the water next to me. I look, and I see a freaking red wasp swimming along next to my naked arm. These are not your ordinary little wasps. These ones are, A. large. And B. freaking mean. I'm in no way afraid of bees, but I have a healthy respect for these bastards. They hurt. And I am naked, so they have many interesting targets of opportunity. But it's just one. I scoop him out of the tub, and kill him with a champagne flute. Where was I? Oh, yay. I hop back in the tub, and another wasp falls down right next to me. Houston, we have a problem. I hop up on the back of the jacuzzi, and check out the source of the problem. The window is one of those that opens at the top and the bottom, and the top is slightly open, and on the other side of that opening is a freaking red wasp city. It's cold, and they were mostly dormant. Until a bunch of warm steam started coming out that crack, and start waking them up. And they are waking up. They're coming through the crack, and I'm crushing them as gently as I can so as not to rile up the metropolis on the other side of the window, while trying to force the window closed, and fully aware that I'm buck naked, standing on incredibly slippery marble in a bathroom with many exciting pointy features which are likely to soon be featuring my brains when I slip. I got stung, and my next smash was window rattlingly loud and vindictive, and I can see through the glass the whole nest rouse itself, and with a final effort, I force the window closed enough that they can't get through. I ended up trapping several wasps in the crack, and had to hammer on the wooden part a bit until it closed enough to kill them. Now, you'd think being stung, reminded of your mortality, and standing naked in front of a window that overlooks the road would be something of a downer. This was not the case. I had a rage/fear/pain erection that could have hammered nails. I made love to her right there, amongst the corpses of the wasps, and she came so loud we had a noise complaint. I've been waiting for an opportunity to tell this wedding night story, but I'm not sure it'll be seen. Here goes. I booked a room in a Marriott with a whole romance package several months in advance. It's gonna be $300, but it's my wedding night, right? That's about the only responsibility the groom has, so I went all out. The wedding was great. We had a religious ceremony and were having the reception the next day, so we headed over to the hotel. I had thought it'd be great to have a room high up, so that's what I booked. We get to the front desk in our wedding attire and the concierge is super nice, trying to make it great for our big day. There's a slight problem though. We're doing construction on the floor above yours, so there may be some noise in the morning, but they won't be on your floor until tomorrow. Well, we're checking out at 10 a.m., so that's not a problem. We ride up the elevator and I'm handing out $20 bills to everyone as tips, 'cause I just got married to the girl of my dreams. The door opens and I take one step out into a sticky mess. The carpet's already been pulled? Whatever. We laugh and make our way to the suite with the bellhop lugging our bags. We get to our room and the laughing stops. I see that not 15 feet away is an 8-man construction crew getting ready to rip a door frame off. I open the door to our room and I can tell the previous guest has left recently, still ice in the used drinking glass. The bellhop asks where to put the bags. Leave them on the cart. We're not staying. I'm not really angry at this point, I just figure that with all the construction the hotel management has goofed. I picked up the phone and called the front desk. Hi, this is Nate and my new wife and I just checked in. There's a construction crew outside, the floor is a disaster, and the room hasn't been cleaned. We'll be right down so you can tell us how we're gonna get this squared away. Not mad, just firm and letting them know that this isn't how we're spending my wedding night. We hung out in the lobby for 10 minutes looking at paintings and even bought some snacks in the hotel gift shop. They call me over and the lady begins apologizing profusely about the mix-up. We've upgraded your suite, package, and re-evaluated the charges. Congratulations on your special day. I opened the key holder and they had written, new total, $0. All expenses included. We headed up to our palatial suite, opened the sparkling grape juice, and they even had some chocolate-covered strawberries for us. We immediately began sexy times. The shower, the bed, the hot tub, hell, we even broke in the little office desk. I was really glad we got Gatorade from the gift shop. We ordered room service of 4 dinner entrees and 3 desserts, even had a 5-star breakfast the next morning. The room service guy's name was Marcel. I saw him so many times I still remember him and how I made him $100 richer that night in tips. TLDR. Started off as a problem, ended in the best wedding night ever. I got a one-night pass from the base I was currently training at. Got married by a justice of the peace. Our only witness was a 300-pound Texas woman with gigantic hair and a face that was spray-painted on. On the way to the hotel, the radiator hose on our van blew. The only wedding day picture we have is of half my body sticking out from under my van while trying to attach a new hose. At the hotel, I got shit-faced drunk and passed out without having wedding night sex. Or so I thought for years. One day we're talking about it, and my wife tells me that we actually did consummate the marriage that night, but it was wildly unspectacular. Bonus points. She takes our marriage license home in a sealed envelope and sets it on the counter. Her mom sees the envelope, thinks it's junk mail, and tears it into 3 without even opening it. My wife retrieves it from the trash and tapes it back together. In hindsight, there were lots of signs that it wasn't going to work out. Screw hindsight, it's 17 years together this September. My wife spent our wedding night sobbing. There was no action. Terrible time for her college friends to prove me right about what worthless POS they actually were. For the record, we were far from virgins, so it wasn't a big deal. After emotions cooled, we managed to enjoy the next day hiding in our suite. Still happily married with a few less worthless people in our lives. This needs more elaboration. Well, we had a daytime wedding at a resort in Vegas. The wedding went great, it was beautiful, a good time had by all, the whole deal. The place where we got married was just a little ways away from the strip, which was what we wanted, but had planned on getting into some trouble at night after the reception. So we had hired a limo and called some people and found ourselves booths and bottles somewhere for that night. Well, none of this crap was free, of course. It was actually a little too expensive for some of my friends, so they graciously excused themselves from the festivities like any responsible adult would do. But a group of us still headed out, mostly comprised of my wife's previously mentioned POS college friends. Long story short, none of them completely paid their own way, some didn't pay anything at all, and they hung the expense on my friends and I. They drank all the booze and then they went further and sort of, stole a couple $100 from my wife and I in a shadeball way. When they got called out on it, a $50 casino chip was offered as reparation. These were supposed to be her closest friends. My wife was too stunned to even react. It took all I had not to do something I'd regret later on. Needless to say, she was a bit emotional that night, and it honestly was something well beyond my control. We essentially had to get up in the morning and start opening our wedding cards looking for cash to pay back my friends that had covered all the extra slack the night before. It was a pretty stark contrast between what an actual friend looks like, and whatever you want to call those other people. So yeah, no action that night. We did consummate our marriage, although we were quite tired. Then we ordered pepperoni pizza. We were starving. If anyone asks, sitting in the hotel room, eating pizza, and laughing with my new husband was the best moment of the night. I realized that this was my new life, and it was awesome. We got married in the morning, then had a late afternoon reception. So went to the hotel in between and had sex. Then ordered pizza. Was delivered by someone who knew both of us. White dress gave away what was happening, so free pizza on wedding day. Slight awkward though to open the door and go, "Oh, hi, yeah, how are you?" "No, we just got married." "Yeah, reception is tonight." And about then it clicked, he gave a quick glance at the dress over the chair, shoes on the floor, us both in bathrobes, blushed, gave us the pizza, told us no charge, happy wedding day and left. I have a good one. During our wedding, I had a close girlfriend of ours go back to the small cabin we had rented for post-wedding consummation, and spread beautiful flower petals everywhere. A trail of them leading to the bed, I told her with a wink. She took it upon herself to take this task seriously. Flower petals everywhere. All over the nice cabin floor, the couch, and all over the bed. So, we go back to the cabin all tipsy and proceed to consummate our new partnership as husband and wife all over the floor, couch, and yes, the bed. It was awesome. Until the next morning when we realized that our overzealous and slightly sloppy game of, "let's pretend this is our first time," had caused the petals to stain everything. The white couch and pillows was now splotched with red petal juice. The hardwood floor was stained like a horrific scene from a cliché horror movie with Cabin in the Woods. The bed and duvet were both completely ruined. And yes, her wedding dress now looked like it had been washed with my red socks. It was awesome, and we spent our first morning as a couple scrubbing the floor. And yes, we lost our damage deposit. My friends kept giving my husband shots. I was drunk too, but not as bad as him. At the end of the night, we couldn't find our car keys which we needed to get his clothes and toiletries. He kept saying that he thinks he gave them to someone, but could not remember. So instead of going to the after party, we searched everywhere for our keys. Everyone, my bridal party and friends, everyone, had disappeared to their hotel rooms or the after party. He and I were alone in our search. It put a downer on us, like, we were thinking, we're screwed. Our wedding was in Yosemite Valley and, while it was beautiful, it began to snow, so I feared that he might have dropped the keys in it. We took a shuttle to our hotel. He stumbled out of the van, and he immediately zonked out onto the bed. I had to undress him. He slept with his contacts on. Next morning, we learned that one of my bridesmaids had asked my husband for the keys so that she can put our presents in the car. She didn't realize that the presents were going to be secured by the Yosemite staff, how wasted my husband was, that my cell was in the car, and that she should have called my hotel room. Meanwhile, I should have called my bridal party too, instead of thinking my husband was an idiot for losing the keys and believed him when he said he gave it to someone. We didn't have wedding night sex, but at least we woke up to a view of a beautiful, snow-filled Yosemite Valley from our hotel room at the Ahwahnee. So, my wife and I are non-drinkers, not on moral grounds or anything. Just don't like alcohol for whatever reason. Since we weren't going to drink, we didn't want to pay for others to drink, stingy I know, so we had an afternoon wedding. Got up at 7 that day and everything was done by about 4 if I remember correctly. We were pretty tried, by the end of all of it. Happy, but tired. We left to our hotel room across the street from the parking lot of the airport. We were going to Mexico the next day. Somehow my wife and I still had the ability to consummate our marriage. Granted, she did look especially gorgeous on her wedding day. After trying to get her dress off for 10 minutes, it finally went off. We did our thing, and having spent an entire day in a tux and her in a dress, we then took a shower together. We took a nap. I woke up and she was in some lingerie, so we went at it again. By this time it was about 8 or so. Despite our physical exhaustion and our travels to come, we managed to get out and get to a Walmart for some last-minute things we forgot, i.e. toothbrush. I picked up Mr. and Mrs. Smith there too. We got back to the hotel and decided we were hungry. Went to the restaurant in the hotel because we decided hunger wasn't worth leaving again. All tables were full. Looked around, slightly disappointed, looking for a place to sit. Nope, all the tables were taken. We walked over to a table with a nice couple and asked if we could join them. They agreed and even paid for our meals. This couple was my mother-in-law and stepfather-in-law, whom somehow ended up at the same hotel. They came in from out of state. I got a little too drunk on my wedding night. Whom am I kidding? I was wasted. Everyone kept buying me drinks, so I kept on drinking. So my wife and I finally get into bed, and we both agree it's not going to happen. So, off to sleep I go. Well, my flesh wasn't willing, but the spirit sure was. You see, I suffer from a condition called sexomnia. Some people sleepwalk, some people sleep talk, I sleep F. I tend to fondle my wife in my sleep. The poor thing has gotten used to it, usually giving me a pinch to stop me. Well, that night she didn't realize my condition was acting up. She thought I had sobered up and wanted to consummate the marriage. So it happens and away we go. And I woke up halfway through. I was so confused. And seeing my reaction, my wife figured out what had happened. We had a laugh about it, and since we had started we decided to finish it. TLDR. Slept through most of my consummation of my marriage. Edit. Wow. I typed this up before going to work and come back to see there are others who have this as well. Makes me feel better knowing I'm not alone. Nearly 50 years ago, but one of the best days of my life. We got married in the morning and, after a short reception, we drove to a hotel about halfway to where we were stopping on honeymoon. We were both sexually inexperienced, so it was great fun finding out together. The next morning we felt incredibly close to each other, but we were young, fit, and not hungover, so we wanted to move on to our honeymoon bungalow, but when we got to reception there was nobody around and it was all locked up. There was just a bell that rang when you stood on the mat. Eventually, someone came to check us out and, despite thinking we had got away with it, my brother had stuffed my wallet with confetti. We had a wonderful honeymoon and a happy life together for nearly 50 years. Unfortunately, I have to make the most of the memories as my wife is critically ill in hospital and has a life or death operation on Monday. Edit. Thank you for all the good wishes, but, unfortunately, my wife didn't make it. I feel very lonely now.